Skull and Bones is a game that I've covered a couple of times on my channel, but I haven't really done any deep dives into because I hadn't actually done any research on the game yet, other than, oh, it's a pirate game and I like pirate stuff. However, I have finally taken the time to dive into this game, more specifically into a series, I guess, that Skull and Bones have. It's like a series of dev diaries. Got this one up called The Deck, which was a gameplay stream that they did a while back. Actually, when is the date on this? I can actually take a look at that real quick. It says here 2 weeks ago, so a couple weeks back. I've had this actually saved, and I just never got around to doing my overview over it. But I actually want to dive into this a little bit today because when I watched through this, it's a 30-minute episode. It's got a ton of really cool information in it and stuff that I wasn't aware of before when it comes to what they're building with Skull and Bones. So this episode, which I'm going to link in the description down below, is a sit down between Alex Cretin, the senior community developer, and Joel Janis, I believe is his last name, who's the narrative director for the game. And there's a lot of like really from a writer's perspective. If you sit down and that's what I came to this video as was as a writer, saying I want to know more about the story of this game because number one thing for me is not graphics. The number one thing is always going to be story for me. Game has to have good graphics to pull me in, but more importantly, it has to have a good story to keep me playing the game. So I wanted to hear from the lead narrative director. So we've got him on here, and these two guys talk a lot about the game. And what really fascinated me is all of the real world research that went into building the setting that they're using here for their game. Now, if you've ever played any of the Assassin's Creed games that Ubisoft has put out, one of the things that those games do exceptionally well, especially if we're talking Odyssey, um, Valhalla, and Origins, is that they actually have this entire mode of gameplay that's just for exploration and running around those cities to see them as they were. And with in basically they've got these like tourism branches that you can go run around and do, which give you more information about the life and times of people in those cities in that time span without actually being part of the missions that you run for the game. It's a separate experience whatsoever that has been used in university settings to teach university students about what these cities were like back when they were in their prime. So I would argue that more than any other company out there, Ubisoft has done a very good job of, with the Assassin's Creed games, at the very least, creating games that are extremely um, researched and planned out so that they can create something that is as realistic as possible. And I have found that to be pretty much true over the last few Assassin's Creed games. I'm not talking about the bloat that everyone talks about because they've got too many systems in these games. I'm talking about the attention to detail because that's what it sounds like they're doing here. They've got a lot of detail put into making this game feel like it's an authentic game taking place during the time period of Skull and Bones, of the pirates and everything else. Now, are they going to have it be as realistic as Black Sails? I don't think they're going to go that route because they don't want a mature rating on their game. But I do think we're going to get something that's you know pretty accurate historically. It sounds like it anyway from what I saw in this video. Now they go through and they do a ton of breakdown over everything, including these storyline moments where they talk about this major quest line that the character is working on as he goes through and finds more information about this brother and sister duo, and you get these big dialogue sequences with narration and everything else over the top of them. But then they get into showing like this is just a tiny little. Let me go back to that if I can get to it. Like I'm gonna turn the volume off here just to show this footage. Like this is like the map section they're looking at, and look how big this game is. And these are all like the different ways that you can sail your ship and everything else, and fast travel here and there. So after having watched this game, the camera switches around between the two of them because they're doing some multiplayer. So obviously this game is set up in such a way that you can play the game solo. It's a single player storyline as far as I can understand things from what I've seen from this video. But you can also do it in a group format so you can group up with other people. Now what I don't know is where's the is there more what does the group content look like? Are there pieces of group content? Are there pieces of content in the game that you can only complete with a group? Is there PvP? Like, I don't know all of the details about all of these things yet, but I do know that they were switching off between each other's characters in the POVs throughout this dev diary, and they were both going alongside each other completing these quests. And so you're getting different points of view, different ships, and everything else. I think what was the most interesting to me, because I didn't know anything really about what this game was going to be until I watched this 30-minute playthrough, is that it's basically Assassin's Creed at its core, right? That gameplay loop. That's what's the core of this gameplay. That's what drives the way you pick up quests, the way you do the quests, the movement, the engine, everything that you know and love about Assassin's Creed is here. They also then took the ship-based combat of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, is the basis for the ships that you have here, in the sense that you have a ship that you can go into combat with. You can customize that ship. You can get different weapons for that ship and different cosmetics for that ship and so on and so forth. And you can make your ship more powerful with different customizations. And it's a whole other thing. It's like, as much as you can make your character more powerful, you can make your ship more powerful. That's straight from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But they also took the rating system from Assassin's Creed Valhalla and put it in here as well. So it's like you've got the best of the last three Assassin's Creed games and all of the mechanics from all three of those, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, combined together to make a game that's all about being a pirate. And so you've got a ship and you've got raids that you can do and all of these other things. So as you go through this video, you'll see lots of different things of them, going down and sailing their ships around. And this is them side by side. And they've got a couple of ships that look completely different. You can go in here and do this first person view of the ship, which is really cool. Which, again, if you've played Odyssey, you'll see similar things. But, there's a lot of great stuff here with the ships. And there is a point here, and I don't remember if I'm going to find it because I'm not actually watching the video as I'm talking about it. There is a section where they get involved in some ship-based combat, and it might be right here actually. It kind of looks, this part looks a little, I wasn't sure what to expect from the ship-based combat, and it sort of looks like it might be a tad automated just based on um, maneuvering, and I mean, it looks similar to what we saw in Odyssey, but with cannons instead of the what do you call them? The spears that you had and the bows and everything else. And they've got towers here and other objectives. So not only are you doing fights at sea, you're also worried about the town. But then they've got this bar across the top, right? And this was like another layer of, which kind of tied into the Valhalla system, but it's essentially, there are these stages of combat that can happen when you're attacking these settlements or doing a raid, and the deeper you get down that line, the harder it is, and the more guards come and the more things come and the more difficult it gets. And so if you want to try to make it out with all of your treasure, the the greater the risk, the greater rewards. So, you can try to stick it out until the end and hopefully make it out with all the loot, or you can go in and get out within the first two stages. And he was talking about, they do this mission here, which they don't show. They actually don't show that mission part because they don't want to spoil the storyline. But the mission they have is to go in, get this piece of information, and then get out again before things get too hairy in town. And the whole thing they do before they even go into town is they set up an escape route with their ship so that they know how to get away, because they said if you don't do that, you can find blockades and other things that can keep you from actually escaping. So it sounds like they've got a pretty intelligent AI system that's going to make this game feel like, you've got the threat of all these corsairs coming down on you when you're trying to get away. I don't know. It sounds really cool. It looked really cool from the gameplay footage. And obviously, they've pushed this back some more because they don't want to release it yet, which is fine. I'm okay with all of that. So, you've got lots going on here, lots of ship-based stuff, lots of land-based stuff. I wouldn't call the graphics, you know, anything groundbreaking. We're obviously getting something that looks like an Assassin's Creed game. So I don't feel like we're breaking any sort of boundaries as far as graphics are concerned. But the gameplay definitely is intriguing to me. And that looks good. I mean, it doesn't look bad from what they're showing. It's just, like I said, it's not I wouldn't say that it's a big, impressive new increase over what previous Assassin's Creed games have given us. But I've also just looked at the map, and I remember how big the map was in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and how much I've played Odyssey through twice, and it's a massive game. And this looks like it's going to be as big as Odyssey, if not maybe bigger. I don't know because they're dealing with islands and the coast and everything else. But it just looks incredibly complex with all the different things you have going on, and color me intrigued because, like I said, I didn't know what we were getting into until I actually watched the video. Because, like I said, I've only peripherally been aware of this game and excited because it's pirates, right? But now that I've seen this gameplay footage in this Dev Diary episode, um, I want more, please. So I'm definitely interested. I'm also in the camp of saying I don't care how long it takes them to get this game to completion, because I would much rather them launch a bug-free or a nearly bug-free experience if they can, because Ubisoft has not been doing well in recent years, and they need a win. They need a win in a big way, and they need a game that launches in a near perfect state so that they don't get any bad publicity from a bug launch, and they can set themselves apart as being this standard of quality that is better than what everybody else has. Because we already know they produce good games, at least from my perspective. I'm always gonna enjoy an Ubisoft game when I play them, especially when it comes to the Assassin's Creed series. However, I think everybody's getting kind of fed up with buggy launches, and they've even had some of their own over the years. I haven't had any complaints over the last couple of games. Odyssey and Valhalla both had nearly, I mean, I didn't have any issues with either one of those launches. So for me, those are perfect experiences. But I know other people have complained about other stuff in the past. So I don't know. I'm extremely interested in this game. Previously, I was only, oh, it's out there. I'll play it when it comes out. I'm definitely play it when it comes out now, but I'm actually now interested enough to start paying attention to the developer updates because it looks really cool. It looks like way more complex than I thought it was going to be, so I'm pretty excited to see this one come to fruition. What about you? Have you heard about this game? Do you know anything about it? Drop the comments down below. Like, subscribe, and hit this bell icon if you liked what you heard here today. And support, just drop a super chat down here or a super thanks if you're watching the upload. You can also do memberships here on YouTube, up $3 a month, and we go up from there. We have a Patreon page for our fantasy game and world and tabletop setting. There's a Discord channel. All the links are down below. Hopefully, I'll see you in game or somewhere else in the next episode. Cheers, everybody.